Let's start the class with 3 ohms. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we begin our class today from verse number 26. This chart will tell you roughly where we are. We are in the third topic, verse 15 to 30, which is called as Jnana Yoga, and which is a central portion of this entire text. This journey which we are trying to do is called as the spiritual journey, and our goal is to find out if there is anything called as permanent in this life. We are all used to seeing impermanency in waking, dream, sleep. Different things change in life. Body changes, the mind changes, people change, the world changes. And our goal in the spiritual journey is to find out something which is permanent in this world. You may say the world is permanent, but scientists and also the ancient rishis will tell us that the world is not permanent. So there is something which I don't know, I'm trying to discover. In the beginning, the teacher tells us that by identifying with the impermanent things, we will never find peace or happiness or security in life. So the guru, the teacher, tells us there is something called as Atma, which is permanent. And that to locate, to discover, to know that Atma is this spiritual journey. And what is the benefit of this journey? The benefit is the sorrows which I experience in life are put to an end when I discover this permanent Atma. So verse number 25 we have seen, and verse number 25 showed us that whenever there is a Atma, which is this pure spiritual I, and the mind, when they come in contact, there is something called as an ego. The ego I rises. That's what we saw in the last verse, the 25th verse. The following verses now are going to teach us, are going to talk to us and tell us how to discriminate between this ego I and the Atma I. That means the permanent, never changing Atma. How can I try to identify it with reference to the changing mind, intellect, body, sense organs, and the universe? So this verse, verse number 26, Atma never does anything, and the intellect of its own accord has no capacity to experience I know. So in the 25th verse, it said that there is a combination of these two. A reflection of Atma in the mind results in I know. So here it says that the mind on its own cannot have the experience of I know. The individuality in us is due to delusion and thinks that it itself is the seer and the knower. So what it says is there is a pure consciousness, a pure awareness principle in me, in this body, which is the seer of the mind, and the mind is the seer of sense organs. This fact we should always be aware of, that it is the mind which is being seen by the pure consciousness, and this mind then gives the power to the sense organs to see the world. So the confusion is that the mind thinks itself to be the seer. That is the problem. The sense organs are seeing the world as soon as we wake up in the morning. It's an automatic process. The sense organs automatically see the entire universe. But here the teacher is telling us that the intellect or the mind has no independent capacity to be an experiencer or to say, I know. For example, in sleep, the intellect has gone to sleep, the intellect is passive, and therefore, when it is passive, it cannot say, I know. There is nothing in the body which says, I know. At the same time, Atma is without a body. Without the body, without the mind, we will learn more about this in the verses around 31, 32, where the teacher will tell us that the Atma doesn't have a body, it doesn't have a mind. So Atma, in this particular verse, we should know that it doesn't do anything. It's a body which does. So on waking, a delusion happens and the intellect wrongly thinks itself to be the knower and thinker. Unique third entity is born, is experienced by all of us. And this third entity is like a reflection on the mirror. So the mirror is basically the mind. And on this mind, we see a reflection of that pure consciousness. And then I say, I know. I say, I am. So the ego I is formed in the body, therefore it has got location. I say I am in Singapore, I say I'm in India, or I'm in USA. The plants have an inferior mind, which is called as, which also has a reflection, but the quality is very, very inferior compared to a human mind. And the devatas, that means the superior souls, there are some superior souls according to the Vedas. There are different lokas. There are 6 lokas above us, and then 6 lokas below, and then there are different fields of experiences where different souls can live. They have a higher reflection, whereas the human beings on this earth, they have a reflection which is able to say I am. So this, what the Vedas say, what the scriptures say, is that this mysterious entity is a fake entity. It is that one which keeps on saying I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, and so on. Dropping this claiming that I am the ego is the solution to the problem. This is a cognitive knowledge. It is purely based on understanding, and having faith in the scriptures to say, yes, the scriptures are telling me this ego I, which I experience in the waking state, is not my real nature. My real nature is the non-transacting I, which is called as the original consciousness, which is ever the seer, it's never the seen. I can never see myself. Very important point to note, even in meditation. I can never see myself, because to see myself, I need a pair of eyes. Now, the transacting medium is called the jiva, and it transacts with the world. The medium is the ego, and the world is also called as the Paramatma. So basically, there are two reflections of consciousness which happen as soon as I wake up in the morning. One is one in the mind, in my body, and then there is a total reflection in the world. And due to this, I'm able to transact in the world. Why I am born in the world, I have already told you that it is due to law of karma. You see, the jiva, the soul, has got to do certain actions and get certain results of actions, which is either sorrow or pain. And this process is the reason why this entire world is created by the Lord. So this particular verse 26 is telling us that it is a delusion, because of which I don't know my real nature. And I think this mind and the sense organs is me. So this is what we need to correct ourselves through this understanding. It is purely, this whole knowledge based is only understanding through the intellect. Physically, we cannot do anything. Physically, we will still see the world as it is. Now, the next verse, it gives us an example of how this mistake happens. This is a very famous example in the scriptures, which is the rope snake example. That means when it's evening time, not too bright, not too dark, I see something on the road, and then I conclude that it is a snake. It is a misjudgment. So on the rope, I superimpose a snake. That is called as rope snake. Once I do this, then I am overcome by fear. So similarly, as soon as I get up and if I don't know that my ego is an entity which I'm able to experience, but it is not my real self. If I don't know this, then what happens is, then I am overcome by fear. And then this individuality, the egocentric individuality, becomes real. But with knowledge that I am not this ego I, which is coming and going, it comes in waking state, it goes off in sleep state. So by the knowledge that I am not the ego, but I am the Atma, the Supreme Self, my fear is gone. Total fear, completely. Because only when I see Dvaita means when I see duality in waking state, me and the world, there can be fear. Fear from the second. But what the scripture says, once we learn to identify with my real self, which is my true nature as I am in sleep, that nature of mine, I don't experience the world. I don't experience the body also. So in that experience of mine, there is no world, there is no body, there is nothing except me. Therefore, knowing that Atma is our goal, knowing that nature of mine and taking it as my real nature is the claiming which I need to do. So seeing snake on rope is delusion. It causes fear. The teaching is seeing myself as an ego. This causes delusion. But once I know that I am the Atma, pure Atma. Pure Atma means without body, without sense organs, without the world. Once I know I am that, then this entire fear goes away. I become fearless. Fearless from death. I'm not bothered about death because death belongs to the physical body. But I am not the physical body. I am the Atma. This is the greatest fear of a human being, is losing his own body. And this is overcome only by the knowledge of Atma. And how do you get this knowledge of Atma? Only by the scriptural study. So that is why listening to the scriptures, as we are doing now, is very, very important. So dropping the identification with the ego is to become free from sorrow. Chidabhasa means reflection. The reflection of the Atma on the mind mirror is the doer. This is an important point for all of us to note. Whenever we say I am doing a job, I'm going to market, I'm running, I'm shopping, I'm doing, it is all the ego I. And it is subject to prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma means it is subjected to sukham and dukkham. That means the ego I cannot change the sorrow of the ego I. But I can go beyond the ego I and own up my real nature. That is what is the teaching. So looking at a problem from a higher plane of Atma, then the ego I gets diluted. All the problems which I face in life, they become less important, less significant. Yes, they are experienced. I cannot stop the experience, but I can go beyond that and say, well, this is just an appearance. It will go away. And then take the non-transactional I, which is the Atma, as my real nature. As Atma, I am free from stress, strain, anxiety, concerns. So freedom from sorrow is only as Atma, never as a jiva, never as a waker in the waking state, which is due to the reflection of that pure self in the mind, which is called as chidabhasa. Abhasa means reflection. Chid abhasa means the reflection of the chit, which is the pure consciousness. So I realized Turiya Atma. Turiya means fourth state. See, we are all familiar with waking state, dream state, and sleep state. And these Vedas, the scriptures, they show us that there is a fourth state called as Atma state, pure state. And that is what we claim it as our real nature. Then the next verse, it tells us what is the nature of this Atma. The nature of Atma, that means what is the nature of fire? The nature of fire is it burns. What is the nature of ice? It is cold. What is the nature of water? It is a solvent. So similarly, there is a nature for Atma, and that nature is illuminating nature. Just as a lamp illumines a jar in a pot, so also Atma illumines the mind, the sense organs, and so on. Mind, body, world, they are all inert by nature. They cannot know themselves. So the material objects have to be known by some other entity, which is called as Atma. So this diagram here is an example. Suppose you have a jar and you have a lamp inside. The jar cannot illumine the lamp. It is the lamp which is lit which illumines the jar. The jar stands for the mind which is inert by nature, the body which is inert by nature, the whole universe which is inert. Inert means what? It is not sentient. It cannot know itself. A chair does not know itself. A table does not know itself. Wall does not know itself. But I know myself. So I am sentient. The table, chair, wall, they are all insentient. So there is something in me which is different, and that is the consciousness principle which illumines my mind. So Atma is the spiritual light which illumines the mind, which is shown in the inner square, in inner rectangle. The mind then illumines the sense organs, the second rectangle. The sense organs then illumine the sense objects. That is the third rectangle. So this is how we are able to perceive the whole universe. So this diagram just shows us how this perception takes place for all of us. So objects depend on subject for existence. That means they depend on me, the consciousness principle in me, for existence itself. Whereas I, the consciousness, can exist without the body or the mind or the world as I experience in my sleep state. This sleep state experience we must always be able to link up whenever we are trying to know our truth. The truth behind the world, the truth behind the body, the truth behind the mind. We must always be aware that there is a state in which I am not conscious of the world or the body. World is the object of the mind with reflected consciousness. That means, which is what I explained just now, that it is the mind which illumines the sense organs and the sense organs illumines the world. They're all known because of the spiritual light of Atma. This is the light which we are going to meditate on today in our meditation session number 5. Today is the 5th class for Atmabodha. We are going to meditate on this light principle. There is a text called as Keno Upanishad. In that, I had talked about this Keno Upanishad in the last meditation class and had said, the student asks, what is the power behind the I and what is the power behind this mind? So this is a continuation of the same principle. Here in this Upanishad, in this text, it says the I does not go there. I does not go there means what? The eyes cannot reach and illumine Atma. Speech or the mind cannot illumine Atma. Body, mind, eyes, sense organs, they're all products, they're all effects of Atma. Atma is the cause. So effect cannot go back to cause, effect cannot see or cannot experience the cause. We do not know that. That is what the teacher is saying in this, that we don't know that Atma. We do not know how to instruct one about it also. So this tells us how difficult it's for a teacher to explain what Atma is. Then he says, it is distinct from the known and above the unknown. It is distinct from the known means it is not the known. It is very different. That means it is the seer principle. All the known things in the world, be it objects, be it the mind, are all known principles. Therefore, he says it is the subject, it is not the object. And it above the unknown. We have heard it, so stated the perceptors who taught us this. So he says this is how our teachers have taught us. Therefore, This is the way I can teach you also. Atma is ever the subject, never the object. That is what is the essence of this verse. And Atma is Advaitam. Advaita means it is non-dual. Non-dual means it can alone exist by itself without the universe. Universe depends on Atma. Universe depends on this light of the spiritual light of Atma for its illumination. So the Atma, the spiritual light, is the illuminator, and the whole universe is the illumined principle. The entire body, mind world, it appears in waking and it disappears in the sleep state. That is why whatever is appearing and disappearing, we call it a name, we give it a name, and that name we call it as mithya. Mithya means it is something which doesn't have real existence but appears and disappears, exactly like our dream state. The dream, we can never say it is real. It is real only when we are in it and experiencing the dream. But when we become waker, the dream is gone. So this entire waking state is also called as mithya, the same like dream. As soon as you wake up to this knowledge that I am that pure consciousness, that pure Atma, this whole waking state is taken up like a appearing, disappearing, appearing, disappearing, like a dream number 2. There is no my Atma and your Atma. There is only one Atma. This is very important principle. Again, for those who want to meditate, I am Atma when I say in the seat of meditation, it means that there is only one Atma in this entire universe, because it is all pervading. It is always the subject, and that is what I am, that is what I claim. Then in the next verse, it's just a continuation of the last verse. It says a lighted lamp does not need another lamp to illuminate light. So too, Atma, which is knowledge itself, needs no other knowledge to know itself. See, this light, the spiritual light, what we are talking about, is a self-evident principle. That is why we can boldly say that I am the pure consciousness. Even though I don't see that consciousness, because my eyes can't see it. The eyes is designed to see only material objects. Similarly, the ears can hear only the material sound. Sunlight is a material light. It is not a spiritual light. There is only one spiritual light, and that is Atma. And when I refer to it with reference to my body, it is called as Atma. When I refer the same light, the same spiritual light, with reference to the whole cosmos, it is called as Brahman. So this naming, you should be clear. What is Atma? What is Brahman? These are two names which are used only for teaching purposes, but the substance is only one, which is consciousness. So one candle does not require another candle to illuminate. Suppose you bring one candle and then you say, I will bring one more candle or a third candle to illumine the first two. It's not required because it's self-evident. Similarly, the teaching is Atma does not require another Atma to make it known. You cannot say, I can illumine my brother's Atma. No, my Atma and his Atma is the same. So this one consciousness principle is being explained in this verse. And then how is this Atma? It is always evident as I am, I am, I am. Throughout our life, we always have this experience, I am, I am, I was in my childhood, and always the experience is what I am. In the past, it was I am. In the future, it will be I am. Now also it is I am. Past, present, future is only with reference to the time, with reference to the body. But the I am remains the same. This is the non-changing principle in all of us. There is no young consciousness, there is no old consciousness, there is no middle-aged consciousness. Young, old, middle-aged all belong to the body. There is no agitated consciousness, there is no calm consciousness, there is no peaceful consciousness. All these three belongs to the state of the mind. Consciousness is ever the same without any gradation. Objects of the universe come and go, they appear and disappear. In absolute state, which is called as the Atma state, it is always pure consciousness only, with nothing else except pure consciousness. This is the permanent thing in this entire universe. This is the common thing which exists, but till I study this Atmabodha, I never knew this principle. Therefore, I made a mistake of thinking this body as me, as mind as me. So I correct my mistake and I can enjoy my life. Throughout my life, I know I am Atma. I am free from the sorrow. I am free from the old age. I am free from all types of problems which I see in my waking state. And I can boldly claim that I am this Atma. This is the change which we can experience in ourselves. Once, this is again a cognitive change. There is nothing except understanding. Till this understanding becomes very, very clear for my intellect, I should keep the study on. This is the second text which we are doing in our learning process. There are many higher texts which will make this much more clearer and clearer. And as my intellect understands this principle of Atma, I then enjoy the freedom from sorrow. The experiencer Atma always exists. It can exist with the universe in waking, with the dream universe in dream world, and it can exist without the universe in the sleeping state. Atma is the nature of consciousness, like a luminous lamp. This is what we will again, I'll explain to you when we do the meditation part. Atma itself is the knower principle. That means in this in the sleep state, I alone am is my knowledge. Is the consciousness alone is. No effort is required to know that Atma, no body, no mind, nothing is required to know Atma. So even in meditation, the only thing which I need to note is I am that pure self, and I need to bring a thought to say that I am the self. I need to bring a thought which is a reflection of that Atma. Now, reflected sun in bucket of water can't illumine the original sun. We have seen this example before in the same text, where we see there is a bucket of water. That reflected sun in the bucket of water cannot see the original sun, but the original sun can see the reflection in the bucket. Similarly, Atma can see this entire universe because it is just a reflection of itself. To know Atma Jnanam is the main aim of this text. Verse number 30. How do I, now that we know that there is an Atma which exists without the universe, with the universe, how do I come to know this Atma? The process is being explained here. How to realize this Atma? The process is called as Neti Neti. For those who have done some Upanishad work, they will understand this word Neti means not this, not this. Simply by closing our eyes and saying, not this, not this, not this, I will reach my core personality. The oneness of the individual soul and the supreme soul, as indicated by the great Mahavakyas, has to be realized. Mahavakyas means great statements which are there in the Upanishads. This Upanishad is basically a text which describes Atma. In those texts, there are some statements which tells us that there is a oneness between me, the individual soul, and the total soul which is responsible for the whole universe. And that oneness is what is the method to realize this Atma. Atma is the original consciousness, aham. See, all of us, we say I. Every one of us. If you are not able to say I, then there is no experience at all. Suppose you just assume that God or somebody who made this universe, and we can't use the word I. You can imagine, the body and the universe has got no other meaning to it. So aham, the word I, is that reflection of that pure consciousness. And it is a mixture of the awareness principle, the pure awareness principle. That pure awareness principle is not located, because in sleep I don't experience any location. The location only comes when the bodies are experienced. That means when the gross body is experienced, I experience the gross world. When the subtle body is experienced, I experience the dream world. When the causal body is experienced, I experience the state of total ignorance. And the three reflections in the three bodies, they are all located. They're located means when as soon as I get up in the morning, that reflection is located in my mind as I am. Therefore, I say, I am this individual, I am Jacqueline, I am Shama, I am so-and-so. So, this, how do I distinguish between this consciousness and the body? It is exactly like, how do you differentiate between light and hand? Light, if you're sitting under a lamp, under a tube light or any lamp at home, then there is and you can experience your body because it is material in nature. It can, and whereas it is in a particular location. Suppose you move your hand, you can see the hand in another point A or point B. So point A, point B is because where the material is situated, the hand is situated, and the light is reflected in the body. Because of the reflected light only, I see the hand. But in between the bulb and me, is there light or not? Yes, there is light, but I cannot see. It is not. It's a general light which is pervading the whole room. So the hand is the cause of location. Similarly, the body is the cause for location of Atma, the light of consciousness, but the same light is there in the whole cosmos. That is what is what is revealed by the scriptures. So the limitations belong to the body, mind, medium, which is a medium of experience, but not to the illuminator, which is the spiritual light. The medium comes and goes. And why do the medium comes and goes? Exactly as per the law of karma, which was taught in Atmabodha. The only change in understanding of experience is freedom from sorrow. It's a cognitive change. I only say that this coming and going ego I is not me. The location-less spiritual Atma is me. I explained to you what is Mahavakyam. It discusses, it declares the oneness. And by saying Neti Neti, not this, we learn to drop all the conditionings of the body, mind, and the world. These are three conditionings. Conditionings means they are the covering which are covering the Atma's real nature of pure consciousness. A sample of pure consciousness we get in sleep. We don't experience body, mind, or the universe. Gradually, the mind gets acclimatized to see the truth as we learn step by step. And then it sinks to us that Atma is our intrinsic nature, exactly like the heat of the fire. It is the intrinsic nature. Fire cannot exist without heat. The body cannot exist without consciousness. This is the ultimate benefit of the knowledge of Atma, oneness of Atma, or the pure awareness. Then we talk about how do I assimilate? Okay, I have learned Atma so far in the last 30 verses. How do I assimilate this teaching? How do I keep this knowledge permanently with me, so that whenever I need it, I can draw on it? That is what is being explained from verses 31 to 41. It will give us some more knowledge of the Atma which we can retain, especially in verses 34, 35, 36. There are some 22 indicators which will be shown to us. In this verse number 31, it says, the body and so on up to the causal body. The causal body is our body where we are in our sleep state, which is called as the state of ignorance. So the gross body, subtle body, and the causal body are objects perceived, and thus they are perishable as bubbles. I mean, Shankaracharya, who is the author of this text, he says that the entire world, waking world, is like a bubble. It just is there momentarily, it is there. We feel that 24 hours is a long time. We feel the whole 80 years what we have lived is a long time, but according to Shankaracharya, he says it's a bubble. It's like a bubble which just comes and it's a fleeting time. It disappears. Actually, if you go to see the whole time principle, it's just fleeting. All 50, 40, 30 years we have all experienced in life, today it appears as if it was just a small, if you look at your past, each one of us will say it just went, it came and went. Whereas Atma, the principle which is illumining all my years, right from birth till date, is eternal. Body reflected consciousness appears in waking and disappears in sleep. The location is caused by the body and mind. There is no knower in sleep. Drik means the seer, the awareness principle, and Drishyam means the ego, the entire dress which I put on in waking, dream, and sleep. So I wear one dress, I see the waking state. I wear another ego eye dress, I see dream sleep. I wear another third dress, that then I experience a sleep state. Sleep state is a long state of 8 hours. It's in 8 hours is a pretty long time, but still to me it appears such a short time. I go to sleep, I get up. I go to sleep, I get up. So the time is completely that, and the experience of time is completely gone. It's not there in sleep. So it's like a bubble. I, the Atma, am the Adhishthanam, the substratum, ever nirmalam. That means there is no impurity in consciousness. It's pure, always pure. That is why I always feel that, my awareness principle does not change. It's changeless. It's always pure. It is without any objects in it, and that is what I am. And and all the problems, they all belong to the mind or to the body, but they are at a lower level. Like dream and waker are two different levels. This body and the universe, which I see in the waking state, is at a lower level. That is what is the teaching. Then 32, verse number 32, it talks about the birth and the changes of which happen to the body. Now Shankaracharya is taking up the gross body. And the next verse, he will take up the mind. Here he's talking about the gross body, and he says that Atma doesn't have any gross body. I am other than the body, so I am free from the changes such as birth, wrinkling, senility, death, and so on. I have nothing to do with the sense objects such as sound, taste, for I am without the sense organs. When he says I am here, it means the Atma. So the teaching is, as Atma, it doesn't have any body in it. That is why in one of the Upanishads it says ashariram. Ashariram means without body. In the next verse, Shankaracharya will teach us that the Atma doesn't have even the mind. So here it talks about the gross body. Therefore, we have to internalize this teaching. When we sit in meditation and say, I am Atma, you should be aware of this fact. I am pure Atma without the gross body and without the problems of the gross body. The worries, fears, anxiety are all at subconscious level, but not at the Atma level. What is heard in Shravanam, which is listening, is relived in meditation. So when I bring these thoughts that I am not the body or its problems in meditation, we see and we relive this thought. That means I claim that I am not the body. Neti Neti, the same principle is coming here. Meditation is like curing process by pouring continuous stream of water while building a wall. So when a wall is being built, after the wall is built, you just pour water on it so that the curing process takes place. So similarly, meditation is the same like curing process. Only through meditation, I can transform my personality. Otherwise, it will just remain as information. Suppose I just don't meditate, or I don't sit down or I don't contemplate on these points. What will happen is all these 68 verses, I will just listen from the left ear, and it will disappear from the right ear. It will not stay. So in order to change, in order for me to transform myself to a higher nature of my own self, I need to bring these thoughts into my own mind again and again and see and reflect on them. Disturbance in the mind will come down, the frequency, intensity, and responses for the disturbances will also reduce. This is the advantage. This is why we stress on the aspect of meditation. Break our thinking of looking at ourselves. We need to break our thinking. That means I'm not the ego I, I'm not the wife I, the son I, or the employee I, father I. These are all I use. We cannot destroy these eyes. We have to use these eyes till the body is there. So in transactions, we have to be a father, we have to be a mother, we have to be an employee. But only when I claim, who am I? At that time, you bring the Atma. And what are the 5 main characteristics of Atma, which I should always remember? 1, is it is eternal, nityam. Second, it is always pure, it is shuddham. Third, it is without modifications. In Sanskrit, it is called as nirvikara. Then it is not connected to the body or universe. It is asangoha. It is ever free. It is mukta. So these are the 5 Sanskrit names, and these are the 5 English meanings. You can meditate in English, no problem. You can say, I am eternal as Atma. You can say, I am pure as Atma. As Atma, I am without modification. As Atma, I am not connected to the body or to the universe. As Atma, I am free. As you do this in meditation, you will find this is not a first, I'm not the first person to do this exercise in meditation. There are millions of people who have done it in the past several births. This study, this knowledge is as old as the creation. What the scripture says, when the Creator had created this universe, he gave in the universe, he brought in this knowledge, and the universe existed right from day one of the creation. But anyway, I didn't know this, therefore I can practice this and come out to realize my real nature. In meditation, Atma remains without the body, mind, or world. I have said this before. Body, mind are never free. They are ever in problems. But I, the Atma, the consciousness, is ever free. Body, mind goes through consequences of prarabdha karma. That means I've explained this before. It is due to some action-reaction principle of this entire universe. The Vedas tell us this whole universe is a field of experience. To experience joy and sorrow as per our previous actions done. That's all. All experiences in life end in only joy or sorrow. And this entire world is, this field is only for us to come and live for, say, 70, 80 years, and then take another body after this birth, and then this cycle goes on. But I can come out of this cycle is the study of Atma. The properties of the body belong to the body. The prarabdha, the karma, makes us watch sufferings of our own body and the near and dear. Some people will ask, why do I see suffering of my mother or my father or my sister? Why do I experience this? The answer to that is the law of karma. It's a law of karma which puts all of us together. The jivas, each individual soul, comes into this drama of life as per the law of karma. That is how the scriptures explain us. Anytime somebody insults us, you don't have to take it and to yourself. Insult belongs to the body, but not to Atma. The fivefold stimuli of sense objects can't touch the Atma, the spiritual essence in me. I am the eternal spiritual being with human body, and a body with a spirit inside, not a body with a spirit inside. It's just a correction here. I am a spiritual being with a body, but not a body with spirit inside. Okay, I will take this as the last verse for the day, verse number 33, because the next 3 topics, verses are connected. So with this 33rd verse, I will end. So 32nd verse was teaching us that I am not the gross body. So before that, we said the process of knowing Atma is Neti Neti. That means first I say I am not the gross body. Now Shankaracharya is saying, learn to say, I am not the mind, the subtle body. See, you can see how beautifully the connection between Atmabodha, verse number 9, and how these words, how this whole text is connected. That is why I always like to take both Atmabodha and Atmabodha as a basic preliminary text before taking up Upanishads or Gita, Bhagavad Gita, because if you go directly into Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads without understanding these two texts, you will not be able to understand the deep significance in those texts. So the 33rd verse, I am other than the mind and hence I am free from sorrow, attachment, anger, fear, all this belongs to the mind. And then I am free from the prana. This is the commandment of the great scripture. And which scripture he is talking about when he says this? There is a quotation in two Upanishads which he is talking about. One is Mundaka Upanishad. It says that I am that Atma which is self-resplendent, formless, unoriginated, all-pervading, without both interior and exterior, and transcendental means I go beyond the body, and I am also an unmanifest condition. So this, then it says that from this, the entire prana is born, the mind and the organs are born, the sky is born, the wind is born, and the entire 5 elements are born. This is quote from Mundaka Upanishad, which says from Atma or from Brahman, this entire universe has come into play. And then there's another text called as Kaivalya Upanishad. This is one of my favorite texts, which I always take up when I do Upanishads. I will take this Kaivalya Upanishad the first because it's a very beautiful Upanishad, very concise and about 24 verses. The entire oneness of the individual and the total is explained. Here in this, it says, in me alone, everything is born. In me alone means in me, the Atma alone, everything is born. In me alone, everything exists. And in me alone, gets everything dissolved. Very, very beautiful statement. If you want to contemplate on what is this Atma. I am that Atma in which the whole creation is born. I am that Atma in which the whole creation is sustained, supported. I am that Atma in which the whole creation finally dissolves in sleep. So Atma is free from the subtle body. Subtle body, as you know, from Atmabodha, it consists of pranas, the pancha pranas, the 5 pranas. The mind is basically the 4 aspects of the inner organ in us: mind, memory, ego, and intellect. All this they are fleeting by nature, and the entire thoughts are of the mind. Thoughts become stronger when they are joined by sakshi. That means when sakshi the witness joins the mind, then the thoughts grow. We build up the entire thought world. Similarly, the prana, it keeps the gross body alive. This prana is responsible for hunger and thirst. So, and the different karmas, which the prarabdha karma, can bring diseases to the body. But I, the Atma, am different than the subtle body. So the conclusion is Atma is formless, unoriginated being. It is subject. It is both inside, outside the body and mind. It's beyond the sleep state of the individual and of the universe. How to meditate on this Atma is given in verse number 34, 35, 36. There are 22 indicators, and I learned to say I am all these indicators in meditation. So this, from 34 to 34 onwards, we will take it up in the next session. With this, we will stop the session on Atmabodha. Next week will be a very beautiful section. One of the key verses of the whole text. If you want to know what are the main important verses of the Atmabodha text, these are the verses: 34, 35, 36, then verse 61. Then there are other verses which comes towards the end.